welcome to episode 70 of Fluffy Fibers, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting and very occasionally spinning, a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Isabelle and I am coming to you as always from Montpellier in southern France. And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Fluffy Fibers. And you can also find show notes for this podcast on my blog, which is fluffyfibers.com. And if you're also so inclined, there is also a Ravelry group for the podcast where you can chat. I always post a chatter thread for each episode, and it is the Fluffy Fibers podcast. So thank you so much once again for joining me today. I know it's been a little while. So yes, I can't believe we're already in April and spring is already here and the year is quite advanced already. So just a small note first of all about the setting. I'm recording once again in my, not in my sewing room but in my living room because I actually really liked the light that I had last time. The only drawback is that there is quite a bit of road work going on at the moment every single day in my area, and so it does mean there might be a little bit of ambient noise. So to try and remedy that, I have changed my camera lens today, so it's not as good a lens as I usually use. I really like the camera lens I use to film, but it means because it's a wider aperture, it's a wider angle, it means I need to push the tripod and the camera further away from me. So today I have a shorter angle, so it's actually nearer to me, so it's not going to be as nice, I think, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it does mean you will be able to hear me more and hear the exterior noise less today. So yes, so it's been quite a while and quite a few things have happened. If you're following me on Instagram, of course you must have seen that I have been gadding about quite a bit over the past couple of months since I went to Edinburgh, to EYF of course, last month, and I am just back from the absolutely lovely Knit Eat festival in Lyon in France. Which it was the first edition of the festival, and it was absolutely wonderful. So actually I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm filming today. I did manage to, so this morning I woke up and got up really early, and so I got a couple of hours of work before the kids woke up, and so it means I'm able to carve out 1 hour this afternoon to record. And I think the main reason why I'm really motivated today is all the lovely people that I met in Lyon and that told me that they really enjoyed the podcast, and that just completely inspired me to get behind the camera again. And you know, the more you wait, the more you get, you know, the more things you have to share, and the hardest it is to start filming again, because, you know, as I was compiling everything I wanted to share with you today, it got quite overwhelming, and so I have decided to make 2 episodes. So this episode 70, yay, is going to be devoted to, is going to be a regular episode really, so sharing everything I've been making for the past few months or weeks since I last recorded. And so episode 71, which I really hope to record soon as well, will be devoted to EYF and the Lyon festival, the Knit Eat festival, and that is when I will share my everything I acquired, all the lovely yarn and other beautiful things that I was very lucky to collect, you know, lovingly pick at these festivals. So yes, so today is going to be a regular episode. So we will have my cup of tea, a handmade wardrobe, a bit of mending, a bit of knitting, a bit of sewing, and very briefly I will share a very happy mail day that I recently had. So yes, so first of all, for my cup of tea today, I'm having something that I very regularly drink on when I'm recording, because it's my favourite tea ever. It's some green Earl Grey, which is organic. So I really love this. And so this is the one thing I will be sharing with you that I did get at EYF. Everything else that I got in Edinburgh I will share in a further episode, but actually I didn't get this at EYF, I got this in Edinburgh. So it is a little mug that looks really cute and, you know, quaint, with the little trees and, you know, very lovingly handmade, but it actually has a bit of an edge because it says, "I bloody love tea." And yeah, absolutely love this. And you've got this little tree here. It actually reminds me a bit of the, I mean, I just was on Instagram and I saw, you know, P4 Chen, Patricia in Norway, who I just absolutely respect, admire and love her. And she's currently in the process of designing these brooches or shawl pins after the Norwegian calendar, you know, with, you know, you have Mitten Day and you have these tiny symbols representing, I think, each month. Actually, this reminds me very much, this kind of design, very simple. It really reminds me of her style actually, and her inspiration, her Nordic inspiration. But yeah, I really love this, and I got this with very dear friends in Edinburgh, so it's super special, with Emilia and Erin, and yeah, I love it. It's very much my mood at the moment, I think. I really want, you know, wanting to enjoy sweet things in life, but also knowing that, you know, life is not all sweet, far from it. And I'm at a point when I can't really look at life through, you know, rosy spectacles all the time. And so that's perfect for me at the moment. That's exactly my revised take on life, I will say. I bloody love tea, yeah. So yes, so that's my cup of tea for today. And so for my handmade wardrobe, I'm actually wearing, and this will just allow me to segue into a bit of mending. I'm wearing something that I recently refashioned, which is the Honey cardigan by Vera Välimäki, another Nordic designer. And yes, so I will be talking about this very soon. And underneath I'm wearing something that I also made recently, which is a very simple, I'm actually going to remove the cardigan for now because I'm really hot. This is the Plantain t-shirt, which is a free pattern by Dear & Doe. I'm really not used to using this lens for filming, so I hope it's autofocusing all right. But yeah, so this is the free pattern that you can get on the Dear & Doe website, and it's a really lovely t-shirt. So I will be talking about this in a minute. So yes. And I'm wearing very plain black trousers, which I did not make actually. So yes, so let me talk a little about a bit of mending now. So I think I mentioned last time and the previous episode as well, I think since the beginning of 2019 that I've been really very inspired to focus not only on my making but also on refashioning or mending things that I already have. And it's something that I'm more and more drawn to, not simply, you know, buying new materials to make new things, but reusing things or making things that I made in the past like new. And so this is what I've been doing for a couple of things over the past few weeks. So first of all, and I mentioned that last time, and I showed you the coat last time, exactly 10 years ago I made a coat out of a Vogue pattern, Vogue 8346, and I made this in January 2009. And this coat is extremely meaningful to me because it was at a time I just was living in London for a couple of months, and all the fabrics for this coat were purchased in London. So so this is the coat. This very dark purple is actually a blend of wool and mohair. British wool and mohair, and I got this at Fabrics Galore because I actually lived minutes away from this lovely fabric shop in London. Yes, and the lining is some silk that I got in the Shepherd's Bush, fabrics neighbourhood in London with my friend Melissa, who is Melissa Fair, who is an incredible pattern designer. She designs activewear, sportswear, and she has a book and she has a class in craftsy as well. And so it's a great memory as well, this. So I called this my coat with a silver lining. And the outer shell just is absolutely perfect. It's very, very, it's very hard wearing, very warm. I absolutely love it. But the silk lining proved to be, I think, a poor choice because it was too thin. And so it was really fragile for a winter coat that, you put on and off with a lot of friction. And so typically it started very fast to fray at the seams. And so every couple of years I've had to mend the seams. And so that's what I did recently. And so, yeah, you won't be able to see anything of interest, but yeah, the seams are now all mended. And also what I did is that I redid the sleeves as well, because since I made this coat, last year I made the Cascade duffel coat by Grain Line Studio, which is an incredible coat design. Very, very time consuming, very labour intensive, but you get such an incredible result at the end. And so it made me realise that the way the sleeves were constructed was not ideal. So I changed this as well so that it was more, better constructed. And also I redid the buttons because the buttons have this tendency to fold off because the metal actually cuts through the thread. And I got such lovely comments about this last time, such lovely suggestions. So thank you very much. And I used the suggestion that was made to me to actually put a coat of nail polish, transparent nail polish, to help dull the edges of the buttons. So thank you very much for telling me this. And so yes, so I was able to wear this in Edinburgh, and I was really, really thrilled. That being said, I think it's the last time I can mend the lining because I don't have any seam allowance left to mend it really. And so yes, I think next year my big project for the winter will be to reline this completely. So yes, that's my first bit of mending. And my second one is not so much mending as refashioning, and it is the cardigan I was wearing earlier. So I made this in 2014, I think, and I didn't wear this a lot. I will share a picture of how it was before. I wore it at home, which was nice, but I wanted the possibility to wear this out as well. And the sleeves were I didn't do any decreases for the sleeves. Actually, I don't think there are any decreases in the pattern, or anyway, I didn't do any. And so the sleeves were super, super wide and they would catch on everything. I couldn't even knit. For instance, I couldn't even knit with DPNs when I was wearing this because the DPNs would constantly catch on the large sleeve. So I completely undid the sleeves and re-knit them to include decreases so that it would be much more fitted. And also the other thing I did was I changed the buttons. So I used to have these very fun, colourful rainbow buttons on this. It felt less polished than I would have liked it to be, so I chose these buttons, which are black shell with some white details, little flowers on this, and so I really, really like it now. So yeah, it's a beautiful cardigan by Vera Velenecki. Yeah, I remember I really enjoyed knitting this. So yeah, now I really do wear it much more often, so that is a great thing. So that is it for my mending, and I definitely am removing this because whenever I'm recording I feel really, really hot, so I think it's very, all the excitement and everything. So yes, that's it for my mending, and now I will move on to my knitting. So I think last time I chatted with you I was busy knitting this jumper, which is the Romy, pull Romy, the Romy pullover by Along avec Anna. And I said this with a French accent to start with because Anna is French. She lives in the UK, in England, and she designs patterns both in French and English. I think I actually used the English version. I'm weird like that. But the thing is, I learned to knit with English patterns. And also, I just find the knitting lingo in English is a lot more economical, more intuitive, I think, than the French knitting lingo. Look at any pattern. If you happen to have a pattern that you have on, purchased on Ravelry, and it has both the French and English version, just look at the French version, and you will see it is usually much longer than an English version, because the way the wording, the lingo is to me is less intuitive. So I typically knit my patterns, even from French designers, I typically knit them in English. So this is the Romy pullover by Along avec Anna, and I absolutely love this. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. So it is supposed to be a little longer than this and more loose fitting. This is knit bottom up. You first start with the lovely bit of lace, very delicate lace. Then you knit, it's a very simple construction. And so I completely changed the proportions for this because I had a pullover from Ready to Wear that I had bought before I started knitting. So I started knitting in 2011, and I still wore it. I was still wearing it because I just loved the fit. It's very oversized, the shoulders tend to fall off just like this one. So I actually knit this to fit the measurements of my pullover, my ready-to-wear pullover. So as you can see, it is incredibly boxy. It's a little loose at the neckline, which is very intentional. And yeah, so it's incredibly cozy. And I knit this out of Sarah's Texture Crafts, Falkland Merino, and Drops Mohair. So a matching strand of Drops Mohair. And so the resulting fabric is incredibly warm and super soft with a bit of a halo. It's definitely my coziest pullover that I've ever knit. I really, really do love it. I made the sleeves extra long as well so that it was extra cozy, and on bad days, on days when I need a bit of a pick-me-up, I wear this actually, and it's like I'm wearing a giant hug, and so yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It doesn't itch at all. I'm really, really fastidious with things that itch. Like I can't wear alpaca, any sort of alpaca against my skin, and this doesn't itch at all. So to anyone wondering about mohair, even though it has this halo that may, just like alpaca, it actually doesn't have the same kind of touch to it or feel to it. So yeah, so I absolutely love the colour. So yeah. So this is my Romy pullover by Along avec Anna. So yes, this is my finished object since we last spoke, and I am incredibly close to finishing another sweater, another pullover. I thought I would finish this yesterday, but I was just too tired and I had to go to bed early. But I am almost done knitting my Fern and Feather pullover by Jennifer Steingast, Knit Love Wool, and so yes, I've been wanting to knit this ever since it came out. I absolutely love the many versions everyone is knitting. It's a relatively fast pullover to knit because you knit this in worsted weight. The colour work is really easy. Hopefully you can see this well. And as you can see, I am knitting this in a very dark shade of purple. So this beautiful wool is Gilliatt by Dererum Natura, which I have knit so much with now. And it's called Fig. This particular colorway, it's called Fig. And it's very dark purple. Yes, so it's in certain lightings, you know, at night, etc., it looks actually almost black. And yeah, it's a very cold purple, like on the bluish side. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love this shade. And so the contrast colour is this one, which is Poivre Blanc. So White Pepper by Derero Natura. This is an undyed shade, a natural shade. It's their second to lightest natural shades. So yes. I knit this entire sleeve, and I knit the sleeves extra long, and actually included some extra ribbing so that I could fold the cuff over, because I have this detail in another pullover that I have, the Kira by Isabel Kramer, and I really love this. It's really cozy to be able to fold your cuff and over like this. So actually, if I hadn't done that, I would be done with it now. But yeah, I'm almost done with the second ribbing, and yeah, I think I have just, I don't know, 3-4 rounds to go, and then I can cast off. So yeah, probably I'll finish this tonight actually, which is quite exciting. So yeah, I don't have much to say about this really. It's a really easy pattern, very gratifying to knit. It feels like it's taking a lot of time, which it's not really, but it's just because I've been knitting on something else when I was away, and then I didn't have time to knit at all. So yeah, but I'm really excited to finish this so that I can wear it on, you know, when we are hiking and so on and so forth. And so my second project, current project, work in progress, is hosted in this very dear project bag, which is from my very, very good friend Erin, who used to be Mama to Abigail, and who used to have the Holland Handmade Etsy shop, and that is where I got this actually, in her lovely shop. But she is now I Am Erin Joy on Instagram. And yeah, so I absolutely wanted to use this bag, first of all because it matches with my project perfectly, but also because this was my EYF project and I was going to meet Erin there. We actually shared an Airbnb together, so yeah. It's a great bag to travel with because it's super squishy. It's not interfaced, so it's super squishy, so it's super handy. So yes, in this I have what I'm calling my festival shawl, my 2019 festival shawl, which is the Cameo shawl, which I am knitting. So this is a design by Polina Popiolek. This is a shawl I actually knit already a couple of weeks, a few years ago actually. I remember it very well because I was pregnant with my son. It's one of my good knitting memories from that time. So this is my first Cameo shawl, and I remember so well knitting this and how much I enjoyed knitting this. And it's definitely the shawl I wear the most because the shape is super handy, because it's asymmetrical and incredibly long, and so it really works like a scarf with this lace, with this shawl point really. And so yeah, I really like how graphic it is, and yeah, so I decided to cast on another one in this beautiful yarn because I remembered the pattern. I knew it wouldn't be super hard to concentrate on, and so it would be great for traveling and for chatting with friends at the festival. And so this is also what I took to Lyon during the weekend last Saturday, so that yeah, I could still add some good festival vibes to it. So yes, I just started the lace actually, and because I'm using a gradient, I'm not doing striping this time, and so I started the lace halfway through what should have been the stripes, so just to add a bit of variation really. So I didn't have one super big block of garter stitch and then a very thin lace, stripe of lace to add some variation. So yes, I'm starting basically here. I started the lace here instead of here. So yes, so now it's going much quicker as well, of course, because lace is so exciting and it's super easy as well, super easy lace, but you know how it goes. So the yarn for this is this beautiful gradient from La Fefile. Yeah, hopefully this works. So this is La Fefile. This is a gradient by La Fefile, and it goes from dark teal green to pink. So yes, and the way it was wound was exactly the way I wanted it, meaning have the dark green first, you know, next to my face, and then the lace in the pink. So yeah, and it's a 200 grams ball gradient, and I actually got this at EYF last year. So I thought it would be really nice to actually cast this on this year. It was a very frivolous purchase, not at all in keeping with what I usually go for. You know, it's superwash merino with a bit of nylon in it. So, but you know, it brought me joy, and it's bringing me joy to knit as well. So this feels like a completely frivolous project. I actually hadn't knit a shawl in several years, which seems, you know, which can sound really crazy, but I realise over the past few years I've tended to focus on really more practical projects, you know, to build my wardrobe, to build my children's wardrobes as well. And so I've never stopped to just have a very, you know, a project just because, just to have fun, just to enjoy myself, just to treat myself. And so this is exactly what this project is about, really. So yeah, but I'm getting to the point where I'm really excited to move through the gradient and knit my way through the gradient and have this beautiful spring shawl ready. Yes, that is it for my knitting. And so we're going to move on to a bit of sewing. And I'm actually quite glad because I did manage to sew a few projects since last time, and it's been really tricky for me to find time to sew, so I'm really glad I did manage to make these projects. So, let me sip a bit of tea first. So, first of all, let's just talk very quickly about what I'm wearing. So, as I told you, this is the Plantain t-shirt by Darren Doe. It has a scoop neckline, and it is rather loose around the hips, which is very comfortable. It's a really nice fitting t-shirt. It has a neckline, a neckband here, and so I made mine in a very slinky jersey. I made mine in a tencel fabric, and I think maybe I showed this last time. So it's tencel fabric, which is akin to viscose in its manufacturing process, since it's man-made fibre out of a plant. So you know, it's biodegradable like viscose, you know, unlike polyester fabrics. But it's the manufacturing process in itself that transforms the pulp, it's eucalyptus trees, transforms the pulp into fabric, actually is toxic free, so it's not polluting, unlike viscose. So and also it reuses its water, so it doesn't use crazy amounts of water as well, and it doesn't pollute the water with toxic waste. And so I think also, I guess it's also better for the people who are handling all this, because it means it's less toxic to them as well. And also eucalyptus grows in Europe, especially in Northern Europe, so it doesn't need any watering, you know, you don't need to water the eucalyptus forests. They just grow with, you know, naturally with rain, so that's a great plus as well, you know, as compared with cotton, for instance. So yes, it's a great alternative, I think, and it feels like viscose. It's very silky and very breathable. You know, much more slinkier than cotton, maybe, you know, silkier as well than cotton. It's definitely, I think you could see that, much drapier than cotton jersey. So it's a great alternative actually to cotton jersey if you want something that is slinkier. I am currently in the process of making, so I bought more of this lovely fabric. I got this from Mamselle Fourmi, which is a fabric website in France, and they do have, I think they have lots of different fabrics, but they do have quite a good selection of organic or environmentally friendly fabrics. And so I purchased recently from her, she had a sale, and I got 3 different colours of this same tencel to make t-shirts for Seb. So I actually cut them out and started sewing one of them. So it's going to be one of my makes for April. You know, Sew Over It calls April Selfless Sewing Month, and that's what I did last year. I was super inspired. And so this year I'm doing at least these 3 t-shirts for Seb. And the pattern I'm using is the Metro t-shirt by Oliver and S. I actually made already one of these t-shirts for Seb last year, and he wears it all the time. He absolutely loves it. So yeah, and it's a good one. I know the sizing is great, so yes. So that's my first make. The second one you can see behind me, and I shared pictures of this on Instagram a few weeks ago. This is the Mum blouse by PM Patterns, which is a French company, and I made this, of course, in the lovely viscose by Lise Taylor, which is printed in France locally to her, with her you know, designs that she created, you know, aided by an illustrator, Paul. And so yes, so these are the foxes fabric. This is the foxes fabric, and I opted. So you have, this pattern is absolutely lovely. You have so many options. You have sleeves, shorter sleeves, no sleeves, lots of options for the flounce as well. I think I mentioned that last time I recorded actually. So and also this, the version I have has a tie at the waist, and yeah, so you have a little tab behind it to hold the tie. And I did the wide flounces. And at first I wanted to do the long sleeves actually, but then I realised, well, as I was constructing it, that it was so spring-like. I just wanted short sleeves for this, and you know, I texted Lise and I asked her what she thought, and she told me, yeah, definitely no sleeves or short sleeves. And so I did do the little flutter sleeves, which are also lovely. They are completely lined, so they're self-lined, as you can see. So you do a bit of top stitching here. Hopefully you can see all this. Again, it's quite difficult for me to see what you can actually see on screen. And so for the edging, I did a lettuce edge thanks to my serger. So my serger does an absolutely lovely lettuce edging, which I was able to see thanks to this particular project. And hopefully you can see how lovely this is, because it is really quite, this finish is quite lovely. So yes, I really can't wait for the weather to turn so that I can wear this. It's still quite, you know, much too chilly to wear this, but yes, soon I'll be able to wear this lovely blouse in the spring. So yeah, but it's an absolutely lovely design, P&M Patterns. They have several lovely patterns, and you have so many options. I was incredibly, this was my first time sewing from them, their line, and I was so impressed with the attention to detail, the finishing techniques, everything. It's a great pattern company. So yes, the Mum blouse by P&M Patterns, and the fabric is an absolute dream to sew with. It presses so well, it's just, I think it really works well with flounces or ruffles. It drapes so nicely, so yeah, it's an absolute dream to work with. So yeah, this is definitely my favourite make of this year so far. So yeah, and finally, in terms of sewing, I made a little moneta dress. So but this was a very, very quick make because I've been making moneta dresses. I think it's my third one or fourth one. And so yeah, so it's a very quick make for me. Actually, it took just a little bit longer because for some reason the bodice was super long on me, which I didn't recall from my previous rendition. So I'm not sure if it's the fabric that, you know, had a different kind of stretch to it lengthwise. I'm not sure, but anyway, I did have to hack off quite a bit of length to the bodice because it hit me at the mid-hip instead of the waist, so it just wasn't working. But yeah, very simple, organic, you know, black jersey in organic cotton. The cotton is Lederstoff, which is a German fabric company, and their organic cotton is actually quite, you know, reasonably affordable. I think it's actually the same price as regular cotton, jersey cotton. This is, if I recall, this was 12 euros for 1 meter. So it's quite, it is rather affordable, you know, in terms of organic fabric. So also, yeah, I wanted to say this because I know it's not always easy to have more eco-conscious choices because it's often more expensive, but this particular fabric is not more expensive. So yeah, I actually made this to go under my Romy top. I really saw this outfit, and this is actually what I wore to the Lyon Knit Eat festival. This outfit, this little moneta dress, and my Romy pullover on top of it. So yeah, I've been wearing this quite a bit actually. So that is it for my sewing, my finished projects in terms of my sewing. I do have another plan on top of Seb's t-shirts, which are actually in progress. I just finished gathering up the supplies to make myself a trench coat because I had a trench coat which I absolutely loved. From quite a few decades ago actually, which I really, really loved, which I hadn't bought. It was one of the very, very few things I still owned that I hadn't bought, that I hadn't made, sorry, that was from ready to wear. You know, it was this very classic belted trench coat in a very neutral light taupe fabric. And last autumn I forgot it on the train, and by the time I'd got back to the train to fetch it, it was gone. So someone had taken a fancy to it and just pinched it. And so I knew I wanted another of these trench coats. It's a basic, you know, it's a staple in a wardrobe. So the coat I'm going to make is the Robson coat by Sewaholic. So you have a few options for trench coats now, especially in independent pattern designers. Of course, Durando has their Luzerne coat, but I really liked the look of the Robson coat. It was very close to my old, my lost coat, trench coats. So, it took me a bit of time to find the perfect fabric because I had this very specific colour in mind. And so what I did was get samples before I decided. And so some fabric companies in France offer a sample service, which is absolutely wonderful because it means you're not, you're not making a mistake, you're not investing wrongly, and you're not wasting as well your money and some fabric as well on something you eventually won't be using. And I thought it was really important for this kind of project because you need quite a bit of meterage. You need to have a very specific kind of, fabric, weight and drape. And so, yes, so you have some services that are that you have actually to pay for, and they're not especially cheap. For instance, Pretty Mercerie, as you would say in French, really, which because it's a French company. They have these, so I got these samples because I was wondering if I wouldn't like a light grey, or you know, on the grey side, a taupe on the grey side, but I felt afterwards it would be a bit dull, a bit sad really for a spring coat. So I also got, and this service from Ma Petite Mercerie is actually free, so you can get one set of samples per month actually. So I think this is incredible customer service really, and this is one of the fabric companies I purchased the most from actually. And so my first one, none of them really was perfect to me. I'm really fastidious when it comes to picking colours. So I ordered some more samples, and this time Goldilocks found found her shade. And so the shade that I did end up ordering was a gabardine, which is called Ivoire. It doesn't look ivory to me, it looks like a light taupe. And so this is the fabric, and I absolutely love it. It's absolutely perfect for a trench coat. Hopefully this shows true to shade. I adjusted my camera. So it's a very, very light taupe, really. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It has a little shine to it, thanks to the weave, the way gabardine is woven. So it's absolutely perfect. I'm very excited. And so this coat is not lined, but you hung and finish the seams with bias tape. And so I got this tape to go with it, which has little flowers. And I think it's going to be a very, very delicate result, and I'm very, very excited to be making this. Hopefully I can find some time to focus on this very big project rather soon. Lastly, I just wanted to share a bit of happy mail day that I had recently. So I received an absolutely lovely package from Shauna, who is a very, very dear friend, who has the Adelaide Cottage shop. She dyes beautiful yarn, and she also has a podcast called Adelaide Cottage, and I followed her from her very, very first episode, and she's a really dear friend, and she recently surprised me with an absolutely wonderful friendship package, as I like to call them. I'm not going to share everything that she included, mostly because I actually have to fetch my daughter from school in 10 minutes. But I did want to share with you the yarny goodness that she included, which was these beautiful merino silk skeins that she hand-dyed herself. So this is her Cecilia base, and this is her London Fog colourway, which is this lovely warm grey. I absolutely love it. It's really wonderful, like a warm silver grey, really. And yes, this has to become a shawl. I have to get back to knitting shawls, and this will become a very decadent shawl that makes me think of her while I knit it, and every time I wear it as well. So I'm very excited about this. It is incredibly soft and luxurious, really. And she also included this adorable little needle gauge with her logo Adelaide Cottage, which is so sweet, and I absolutely love it. It has this little heart in the corner, and it's always so handy to have these. And among other things as well, she made me this absolutely lovely little bookmark, which also could be a tiny little wall hanging as well. How cute would that be in my sewing room, actually? I might do that, actually. Yeah, so she actually used fabric that I had sent her quite a while ago. I had sent her some fat quarters, a set of fat quarters, and so this is what she did with part of it, which was so sweet, so thoughtful. But she included so many thoughtful, sustainable gifts in there that it absolutely brightened my month, really. So yeah, thank you so much, Shauna. I really wanted to share at least this amazing yarn. So yes, that is it for today, friends. I do have to rush and fetch my daughter from school now and take her to her music class. But yeah, I'm very happy that I got back to filming today. I do hope the focus will be okay. I'm a bit concerned about that. We'll see, but yeah, hopefully you did enjoy this episode, and I hope and I want to be back really, really soon to share my lovely experience, you know, my festival fest in March and April. So thank you so much for spending your time with me today. It means so very much that you took some time to watch this episode. And until next time, I hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye. Voilà, ça c'est bien. Voilà, et maintenant je tricote un peu. Three, je sais pas où il est dans ta chambre peut-être.